Corn
Panda
pocket.
boobs.
Oops.
Cord pocket.
I got Chad hidden there. Hey,
Ooh.
internets! It's Jake from Mini Terrain Domain, and this is Welcome to Paradise, Michigan, Genesis, Season 3, Episode 3, Flotsam and Jetsam. And in just a few moments, we'll get into the game proper, and we'll get you a little bit of a recap, and we'll get started with some make-believe. First, a couple of announcements. We have a handful of games that are happening every week, Mondays, Tuesdays, and Thursdays. You can type !schedule to get all the deets on those. One that you won't find in there, but we just locked it in, and it feels like it's been forever since we played. On February 21st, which is a Friday at 8 p.m. over on YouTube at the Nerdarchy channel. You'll find Ted and I back in our seats and up to our old shenanigans with some of our other friends for the Old Guard, a sort of a Da Vinci Punk setting, GM'd by the amazing Robin, who has created this incredible setting. And we are all old, retired adventurers back for one last hurrah.
If you want to see, one day from retirement?
Yeah, pretty much. We're past retirement. We were pulled out of it. And if you want to see Ted and I argue repeatedly in character, that's the game for you. It's so awesome.
Incroyable.
Ted and I get into it. Our characters, it comes from a place of love, but we are constantly butting heads. And it's been months since we played. I don't know how many. It could have been one. It could have been three. Regardless.
I think it's been November.
Regardless, I'm happy that we have it back on the calendar and we can get that going again. I don't have this available to share on screen. I forgot to prepare that. But I'm going to tell you about this, and I'm going to drop a link in the chat. Friend of the channel, Marquise, has just launched a Kickstarter for Einbath, The Woods Voiceless Hymns, a mystical shadow dark zine detailing the occult forest of the Horned God. Enter the wood, learn secrets, face trials, be reborn. There is a link now in the chat to that Kickstarter. The Woods Voiceless Hymns is a build-your-own Shadow Dark adventure featuring 10 mystical encounters hailing from the ominous darkness of the Horned God's wood. Each creature comes with esoteric secrets, primeval spells, or strange gifts to take for your own. Check out the Kickstarter. There's a lot more information there about this. We're going to be promoting this all month long while the Kickstarter is running. They have a current goal for the next 22 days to raise $3,000, and they are approaching getting closer to that first 1,000. So if Shadow Dark, and I'll be honest, even if it's not, even though it's kind of branded towards Shadow Dark, which is an incredible system that I hope to feature on the channel someday soon. A friend of mine, Kelsey Dion, created Shadow Dark and has given it an open game license. So tons of people are creating incredible content for this game. Even though this is geared towards Shadow Dark, if it's created by Marquise and you want to add weird folklore type stuff to a game, this is still something for you. Marquise is a unique brand of creative genius when it comes to the dark, the esoteric, the weird. So you won't be sorry. Do check that out, take a look at it, and consider backing it. I will be backing this project myself, and I look forward to the what I believe to be the inevitable success of this Kickstarter, and seeing what else Marquise comes up with for this. So please do check that out. What else do we got? Domain Tome. Nope. Domain Pops. One of these days I'll get it right on the first try. If you look up above Tamiko and M in the upper right-hand corner there, you'll see as another Domain Pop appears. These Domain Pops are the domain dice for this game. They function in the official rules the way that adversity tokens work, in that The players can use these, any number of these, to add +1 incrementally to any dice rolls to hopefully better their situations. But more often than not, these pops get used in groups of 5 to make one another roll on the D100 Mystery Grab Bag table, which has not yet happened in this season. But if somebody does use them, of course, you get to see this. A delightful chomping animation of a domain pop, which was extremely relevant in season 1. With each progressive season, a domain pop seems very anachronistic.
Listen, Paradise is still a beach town. Still got summery vibes. It is totally fine.
Yeah. So that's what domain pops are. And of course, they come about because of you, the audience, gifting subs, resubbing, subscribing for the first time, cheering 500 bits, tipping $5. All of those things will earn domain pops for the players. We are a group of adults playing as children and other characters in a fictitious setting that has now moved to somewhere in time. Nonetheless, there will be, you may hear adult language, graphic depictions of violence, intense roleplay situations. You'll be seeing children put into perilous situations and potentially facing harm and even death. So if this is something that is not for you, please consider yourself warned and feel free to bow out if that's what you need to do. Nobody will think any less of you. But do know that we as players have had multiple session zeros. We have established lines and veils, and we have safety tools in place. We use a traffic light system so that we can assure that everybody around our table is safe. And we encourage you to use session zeros and safety tools at your own tables as well. They're extremely important. The last thing I want to mention before we get going is just to remind you that you matter. Your presence on this earth makes a difference. Whether you believe it or not, it is true. There are any number of reasons why you or somebody you know might be struggling. The last thing we want is for you to be struggling to find help. We try to make it as simple as possible. All you have to do is come into the chat, day or night, whether we're streaming or not, type !help, and a couple of URLs will pop up. Findahelpline.com, or you can check out the growing list of resources at takethis.org. We encourage you to check out those websites, bookmark them, save them for yourself, save them for a friend, and remember, you matter. With that, I would like to welcome you all to South Manitou Island, Michigan, in 18 something. Would somebody like to provide a brief recap? Let me rephrase that.
I'll start.
I
the
would
gang
like
woke up
to
in
provide.
the bar. Oh. The gang woke up in the bar, having just encountered the Wetsica. Or did we encounter the Wetsica the last time? Where are we at?
First episode, you encountered the Wetsica. Second episode, you faced the Wetsica.
We faced and battled the Wetsica. Having touched the Wetsica, Rosie and Jessica saw visions. Oak was almost squished, kind of, by the Wetsica, and ultimately, the Wetsica just kind of splooshed into a puddle. And then we all decided to go to sleep, which is probably, weird. And Josie, very alarmed, slept in a chair by the door, guarding it with a shotgun and her red jammy jams. And that is as far as I remember.
So, what is it? So the next day, Josie's presumed lover came in and woke everybody up, and whatchamacallit, we got a lead on where we can go to get clothes, so we can get out of these school uniforms. And we went to the island mercantile and sundry supplies.
It was just the mercantile.
No, it was
No,
Island
there's more.
Mercantile and Provisions.
provisions.
Oh.
All right. So we went to the Island Mercantile and Provisions and met the one of their proprietors there. And it is a regular general store that has all of the general store goods that a logging camp would need. There's also a collection of curiosities on one of the back shelves. Do you want me to try to list them all off?
I would love you to
Please
try
do,
to list
please
them
do.
all.
Okay. There is a Furby, but we don't know what that is. There is a thumb drive, but we don't know what that is. There is a report card from Paradise, Michigan, from a BC student with 1 A in gym. There is a gold tooth the size of a child's hand. There is... Oh, God, I was doing so well.
A record?
Two more items. There's 2 more items. The record's the last one.
Doll.
Oh, okay. A doll
There's
head.
a porcelain doll head. It's bald with a smile. And the last item is a melted LP from Lazarus. And based on the color scheme, it doesn't appear to be an album that's been released yet. Just throwing that out there.
Ooh. We also learned about the mysterious and enigmatic Mouse O'Connor, and I might have to go meet her to let her know that this town's only big enough for one tomboy. So,
Yeah, there was a little bit of a excitement upon hearing about that particular character. Who? Okay, there it is.
it's tiny,
I
and that's why
did-
they happen to stock clothes that fit.
Molly Mouse O'Connor is a female lumberjane who is small and spicy. We have not met her yet.
The reason it came up was it had to do with Coop and Oak being able to find appropriately sized clothing, and Clara, the shopkeeper, said, "Well, you know, they got to keep stuff in stock for Mouse O'Connor," to which everybody's ears perked up.
She sounds like a goddamn delight. We need to find her. We need to find her quickly.
So yeah, that is basically where we are picking up. As you are all standing in the shop, you are figuring out, basically some of you are trying on different clothing, trying to get out of your school uniforms, and blending in a little bit. Some of you are kind of looking at these items on the counter, and anything else you might want to do while you are here, but you have all just noticed these peculiar items. What would you all like to do?
After being outfitted, I'd like to ask if they happen to have... It's a long shot, but I'd like to ask if they happen to have a map of the island.
Oh.
I figure the Mercantile might have one, but like I said, long shot because it's a logging camp. But what is it? If that doesn't pan out, we can maybe ask what's his bucket with the glasses to draw us one.
That dorky kid that was sitting by the fire.
So, who are you
His
asking?
name was...
Asking the lady who's in the shop.
Claire,
The lady, Claire Briggs.
Okay, well, ask her. Well, this is a role-playing game.
Hey, Clara. Rosie's picking out a flannel and pants and boots.
Excuse
She
me,
is not
ma'am.
involved.
I know that this might be a really weird question, but I mean, hey, this is a weird circumstance, right? Do you happen to have a map of the island?
Oh, well, I don't really have any knowledge of such things. I mean, there's probably something in the surveyor's office, but, well, actually, you know what? I bet Henry has something of, could be a more current map. He tries to get whatever they're getting rid of and keep maps of himself. He's always heading off to walk around the island and walk in the woods and try to find what he calls spots of curiosity.
Oh, that sounds perfect. Well, ma'am, where would we find Henry?
About that time, the back door of the shop sort of creaks open.
Henry's the other proprietor, isn't it?
And you see
Correct.
a man looks to be in his mid-40s, graying at the temples. As he steps in just inside the door, he places a wood axe, leans it against the wall, and kind of just outside chopping some wood, and my ears started burning, and I swear as I was coming in, I heard my name mentioned.
Are you Henry, sir?
He kind of looks around at all of you kids in his shop, and just kind of, well, I had heard about the strange children that showed up in the dark of the storm, but didn't expect to see you all here today. But I'm very excited to have you here.
Rosie's putting her shit up on the counter right as he's saying strange. And she goes, nice. And she just like puts her pile of shit that she's going to buy up on the counter.
Well, I'm very excited to see you all here. But what is it? By what purpose is it that my Clara has invoked my name?
Well, sir, I was asking about a map of the camp or the island, and then Claire said that Henry might be the person to speak to about that, because you like outlining those kinds of things.
I find that when you are running a business on a small island like this, for a very select group of people, there comes a point where you can only inventory your items or dust your trinkets off so many times before you have to find other ways to entertain yourself. I do this by innovating and exploring. I like to take the various maps that the lumberjacks have created of surveying the island, using those as a reference to walk around and find all of the things loggers wouldn't normally concern themselves with. For example, have you heard about a place called the Valley of the Giants?
No, what? That sounds so cool.
If you look, and he kind of points, if you look outside towards the southwest shoreline of the island, you'll see some very tall cedar trees. It's believed that those trees have been growing there for over 3,000 years. They call that part of the island the Valley of the Giants. There are some of the more superstitious among the lumberjacks that are wary of entering there, claiming to have seen peculiar things. The only thing I saw that was odd was a very clear spring-fed pool. Looks like it's only about 10 or 15 feet deep, but the one time I tried to dive down to the bottom, I had to come all the way back up for breath before I could even touch bottom.
How did you get across the lake to the shore? Do you have like a boat, or
what do you mean? I'm talking about the southwest shore of the island we're on.
Oh,
I walked.
never mind. How would one get to the mainland then?
Well, generally, as we are on an island and we weren't born here, all of us came here by boat once upon a time.
Is it weekly though? Are there like regular boats or anything?
Oh,
like
yes,
that?
of
I think
course.
that's what my friend meant. Okay.
There are some ships that come through on a fairly regular basis. Most of the logging operation here is to fuel the steamers as they are traversing up and down Lake Michigan and up through straits and on upward, northward. Occasionally, barges will come in and load up with wood headed down towards Chicago or various places along the shoreline of Michigan itself. This logging operation's been going on for getting close to about 10, 15 years now.
Wow.
But why are you kids interested in these maps?
Well, we're here. We're kind of like explorers, sir, and we're here to like explore the island. So we were thinking maybe you could help us out with that. And Rosie kind of like gives the most like imperceptible like shrug to the rest of the gang.
No.
A chaperone per se.
I mean,
Yeah.
she's not wrong. So
Like not exactly lying.
So how is it, and he kind of casts a sideways glance at Laz, if you seem to be unfamiliar with the comings and goings of watercraft on this island, that you all came to be here?
We don't know, sir. We were dropped here by the kidnappers.
you got to stick to the story.
Yes, you're right. Yes, we were. Trapped by kidnappers, all right. Yeah.
It was terrible, awful.
We just
They
woke
blindfolded
up here.
us and everything,
Couldn't remember how we got here.
like amnesia and stuff.
But you remembered that you're explorers.
Like we remember our names and shit stuff. But you know, the basics.
And now we're exploring to see if we can't figure out where we are.
Okay. There's enough BS being flung around that I need Rosie and Laz to roll charm.
Oh boy.
You're
gonna
so
need to-
charming.
You're gonna need
Charm
to roll
twins
charm versus
activate.
let
Charm twins activate.
me
So
find
I was
Can
I was
I
about
give
to
them?
ask-
Can I give them a +1 by like doing my cute eyes?
Animal crackers in my soup. Just like off to the side. Well,
I exploded for a 5.
oh, I got a 1. I think I'll use those 2 pops hanging out up there to make it a 3 or a 4 if you're feeling like a cool guy and let Coop charm the fuck out of him with his cute little puppy dog eyes.
So I will allow for the assist from Coop. You're going to use the 2 pops at the top.
Yes, for a total of 4.
So you got a 4. Laz has a 5. I need to adjust. We're at 47, going down to 45.
I have a question that I don't know if we have asked. Do we have our powers?
We don't know,
Some
man.
of you
Oh, we
tested your
don't.
powers. You all did
We
that.
Oh,
know
yes,
that
yes,
we have.
yes, yes.
Some of us
Yes.
do. Some of us don't
Yes.
yet.
Correct. I think I do, but it doesn't matter. Anyway, I do have rebellious, which means I get a +2 for
get a
adults.
plus-
With adults,
3.
3.
What's the
So make that-
specific wording of that?
It's when talking to adults, I think is what it says.
Does it
I'd
say
have to get up and
talking
manually- I got
or-
up.
I just want to make sure that it's not.
I think it's resisting.
When bullshitting adults about your origins on the island that you're on is the exact verbiage in the book. I'm so sorry. I don't have
I don't
the manual
have
anymore.
that copy. I don't have that copy of the book that says that.
I just thought it was when interacting with adults is what I thought it said.
When resisting persuasion from adults, so it would not apply in this case. He is
Damn.
not trying to
Damn,
persuade you.
okay.
You are trying to persuade him.
Correct. So I got a
so
4 total then.
You got a 4.
Squeezing every
Laz has a
drop of
5.
juice.
I'm going to roll his charm.
With our powers combined, we kicked his ass.
He got a 1.
Yes.
So, as you guys are kind of going back and forth, riffing off of each other with the story, you can see that he's starting to get a little more. But he's getting all wrapped up into the story. He's just like, oh my, oh, that's absolutely incredible. Well, we are absolutely happy that you were able to escape these mysterious kidnappers. Which, what are they, somewhere on the island?
They could be. We better keep an eye out.
No,
They could even be one of us. And Clara kind of goes,
bullshitting
"Oh." And
it's not funny,
he goes,
sir.
well, I do have a. Let me go get my maps. And he kind of turns to head right back out the door again, and stops right before he goes out. And he goes, Tim, don't go too far.
Okay.
And he disappears.
I think as he leaves, Rosie watches him go, and I imagine he's a little bit of a fastidious man. And so, like, this whole conversation has been like a whirlwind, and Rosie just like slowly turns back to Clara and pulls out the silver bar and just like puts it on the counter and is like, could this get us like some like store credit of any certain amount? Pure silver.
You see her just kind of just lean back and look at you like, what on earth are you kids doing with a bar of silver? And she is going to actually, I think she kind of reaches out almost like she's going to touch this bar of silver, and then she stops and she goes, what on earth are you kids doing with a bar of silver?
Found it.
It was in one of our packs. Got us. We're wealthy children. That's probably why we were kidnapped.
You're probably right, like a ransom, but like in reverse. This is why this is definitely Rosie's fucking dumbass report card on the back shelf. That's the P's and C's.
I have remind me, I have a question about that.
Okay.
I don't want to break what's happening here.
No, sorry.
So this is a point where I wanted to have somebody that could look this up for me. I wanted to task one of you.
Sure.
But in order to do so, I have to tell you when it is, and you don't know that yet. Okay. So I'm going to stick with the fact that it's pure silver, and silver is still worth a lot of money. It's unusual for children, anybody on this island, to be spending money in the form of silver bars. I think that Clara is going to, again, she's going to reach out, like she almost wants to touch it, and she's going to go, take that and keep it hidden. And she kind of looks back, like out the front windows of the shop. Most of the folk here on the island are trustworthy folk. But when you get any group of people together, particularly people that are working long, hard hours in isolation, you're going to end up with a few bad seats. If that's the only form of currency you have, just don't worry about it. I'm not worried about you all trying to scamper off and try to pull one over on me. Far be it from me to send some poor kidnapped children lost on the island out there in whatever these barely appropriate clothing you were wearing.
Jacob, can I bring it up now?
Yes, what?
We're wearing our school uniforms. Do they not say Paradise Academy on them, on like the thing?
They do.
I'm wondering if either of these proprietors will have noticed that, since one of the things, presumably the report card says Paradise Academy on it.
Oh, Oh, fucking Henry and his conspiracy ass
Probably
will
has
notice
a-
that for sure.
It probably has a buck on it too.
Well, let's find out here.
I just thought of that.
We
and I'm
just
like,
got a
"Oh,
little
man."
bit of a plot hole and just. I love
I
it.
think
Get in there.
what we're gonna do is we'll roll to see if Clara makes the connection. I'm gonna say that this is gonna be, given that this is something on the shelves, and they probably look at it a fair amount. I'm gonna call this a DC7. I'm pushing it up just a little bit for reasons. Clara will be rolling a D12. And Clara doesn't show any signs that she's noticing anything. But let's see if when Henry was in here, if he made the connection. Henry was too excited by you guys. As far as you know, they haven't made the connection. But thank you for bringing that up. That was a good point.
That is a good point.
And I will emphasize, as far as you know, they haven't made any connection.
Yeah. It's going to be like later in a montage with Henry, and he's going to be just like having dinner. And he's going to be like, oh, wait a tick. And it's going to like put it all together. You know what I mean? It's going to be like that.
Also, if it still matters to you, Jake, Craig said you can text him your question and he'll look it up for you.
Oh. Rosie takes the silver bar and like puts it back, and she like shoves it way down in her backpack and is suddenly like a little bit nervous about having this.
So Billy would step forward and is like, look, I don't like the concept of just taking for nothing. If there's a way for, me to work it off, I can move stuff around or help with inventory or, any other small tasks that you can give us, me.
Why don't you kids take some time to just get comfortable with the camp, meet some of the people, learn the ins and out of what's going on here, get some food in your bellies if you haven't already. Henry will come find you guys at some point to share. The fact that somebody will take an interest in his maps is going to keep him going for days.
He's so excited to share his hobby. I'm glad we're here for him.
I'll keep my ear out for any possibilities of ways you might help out. I mean, a couple of you look like you're about old enough that if you wanted to join the crew swinging axes. Oh, not
Rosie
you,
gets
dearie.
a smile on her face.
I see Jessica just shaking her head back and forth.
Jessica makes a visibly disgusted look at that.
Rosie hasn't swung a bat in like a month, and this is just, she's jumping at the bit. This sounds great.
I'm not unfamiliar with an axe, so.
Quick question for the players, because I don't remember this. You guys acquired these bars of silver way back in the first few episodes of season 1, when you were back in 1885.
Yes.
Do you recall?
First time we went back in time.
Do you recall what we determined the size of the bars was in weight?
Never was discussed. Big enough that they're big, but small enough that Rosie was able to put one down the back of her pants.
Back of my pants. I remember that.
So I think in keeping with what would be seems would be standard. They're probably 1 kilogram bars, which would be okay. Let me do a quick calculation because I want to get this down on paper so we don't have to keep guessing.
We got to make
at
sure
it.
we.
So your bars of silver are weighted at 1 kilo. We're gonna say, just based on some loose math and googling, in this time period, and even still roughly around the time that you got the bars, each of your bars is worth, at that time, about $1,200.
Oh, at that time, 1,200. Holy
Yeah. So
shit! We are rich. People will slit our throats for this. Heads up. Okay.
so that would be
Okay. Jesus crumps. Are you doing the inflation calculator? I can do that.
Only go to $1985.
well, in today's dollars, because that's all that just automatically gave me. That's like $40,000 roughly.
Jesus.
So
God.
you just placed a very large amount of money on the counter in front of this woman. Probably enough money to pay the payroll for several weeks.
Well, and that's why I suggested leaving it with her and like giving us store credit so we could just like come and take whatever the fuck we want.
Dear,
like,
you could buy
whenever,
the
and she could
store
just, like,
with that.
She could just keep a ledger. She could just keep like a ledger for us.
I'll just
and
put
then we
your
don't
name
have
on the
to-
store. We'll sell you the store for that.
Right? Perfect. Can do be.
Okay.
Amazing.
So, yeah, at that point, she's basically just said she'll keep an ear out for ways in which, if there's any odd jobs for you to do, but take what you need. Get yourself acclimated to the island. Go explore. You're explorers. Go explore.
Upon that note, I think the whole time that all of the older kids have been like communicating the Coop, finding out stuff, like clearly Oak is like a newspaper reporter. He's just silently taking down notes as he's looking through it, but like there's that moment where the Furby catches his eye and he can't take his eye off of the Furby because it's a plastic owl that he has no idea what the hell this thing is and how it got there.
Yeah, I would think
Oh,
to Oak's mind, and with Oak sort of being inundated in the stuff that he is in terms of reading and fantasy and all that. This Furby is giving strong. I forgot the name of it now. Archimedes, the
Archimedes from
the owl
Sword Up
in
and Stone.
Sword of
Yeah.
I was thinking the
I love
mechanical
this vibe.
owl from
Clash of the Titans.
I think it's
Clash of the
also
Titans,
Archimedes.
which is Archimedes.
Yeah.
Uh,
Wonderful. Yeah. So I think that is, he's got his eye on this, but keep in mind this whole time as we've gathered clothes and stuff, he is definitely going full bore into this space. He wants, like, if school is to be forgotten, he has stuffed his school uniform back in the backpack, and you see that like the outfit he now dons is very Indiana Jones, very like Rick O'Connell from Mummy style, as best he can possibly like fabricate for a little kid. His goal of being like the archaeologist, the paleontologist level, like that is everything for him in this moment. The fact that accurate clothing of that type is here and he has access to it is cool. And I think that unfortunately it might be a little baggy for him, but it's he's rocking it to the best of his ability. But he is definitely taking down the items that are way out of sync with this time frame. So he's curious about it, even though he doesn't know what those things are. He's making drawings in the margins of his book that have those little symbols. So there's like a Furby and the flash drive and everything. They're just like mixed around in the journal somewhere.
So can I inquire, like I'm looking to Clara and Henry, what are your curiosities up there? Where do they come from?
Oh, these? And she kind of almost dismissively waves. Oh, well, young Amelia brings us these.
God, who is young
They're-
Amelia? We have so many fun people to meet.
They're Flotsam and Jetsam that she picks up along the lakeshore by the lighthouse, and what she doesn't keep for herself, she brings here to us, and we gladly pay her a couple bits here and a couple bits there for her odds and ends. They don't really make much sense, but yeah, we keep them on display here. I mean, we don't have.
Could we see those like up close? Could you bring them to the counter? And Rosie's like right, her body is right up against the counter, and she's like trying to see these things closer.
Well, if you want to get a closer look, by all means, come on around and take a look.
Rosie scurries around.
Yeah, you're able to
That
get
would
up
just be,
there
like,
and
look
kind of
at it.
see that it's basically like 2 shelves full of a variety of things. I'll just throw a couple other items out there in addition to, just for fun, because he wasn't here. Ted, why don't you roll me 2 D100s?
Yes! Yay! I have 2 specific things that I'm looking for, but I'll wait for Ted.
87.
87. Okay.
And 70.
70.
Ooh.
Okay. The first item that you see as you're looking around at everything else, you see a bloated book. It's got that sort of cloth bound hardcover with a little bit of the title is embossed on it. It's bloated from being waterlogged, however long it was in the water, but you can see the faded title on the book is Echoes of the Atomic Age: Science, Society, and the Unknown. And you can see as it's sort of propped up there, you can just see the corner of a library card that is sticking out of the back pocket. And then the other item, there we go. The other item that you see is that was number 70. You see a high school yearbook from Traverse City, Michigan. It is dated 1980, and then the last digit is illegible. And yeah, that's all you can see on the cover of it. You can't see inside it unless you pick it up and take a look at it.
I would reach for the Atomic Age book if he's allowing, and I wanted to see who's on the library card.
Opening up the library card, is stamped with a due date of tomorrow. The word tomorrow. That's all it says.
Oh. What?
That is
Interesting. Interesting. Oh.
Hey,
Yeah. Anything else?
So hey, Coop, come here a second.
Yeah? What's up? You need my help?
He's so excited.
I try to like calm down a second. You know, like I is like Claire and Henry like gawking at us, or like they have stepped aside?
He's not even in here. He went out to go
Henry
collect
left.
his maps.
She's probably still trying to find clothes for some of us. Maybe.
All right. Well, as long as she's not like right over my shoulder, I'm like, Coop, you get all kinds of weird visions and vibes and whatever have you. This thing seems right up your alley, and I kind of push the book and the library card in your direction.
I don't understand. What do you want me to do with these?
Just touch it, see if there's any connection or vision or any of that.
Lay your
Get
hands
visions, I
upon
hear
the artifacts.
voices. I don't get visions. I hear voices. That's my thing. I've got Radiohead. Because I'm a weirdo.
That would be a great band name.
Speaking of band names,
Rosie
Wes
says,
he,
looking at
picks
all
up
the shit.
the record. What the fuck? He like points to the label and like showing it to the rest of the group.
Is the track list on it?
Yeah.
It fits on the little thing.
They used to
It's-
like list them
It's
out.
listed
like,
in,
like,
so
little-
you've got the way this particular album looks. The vinyl record itself is largely melted for like at least a third, if not more of it. The label is a very bright purple with an aggressively contrasting yellow wording.
Nice.
Across the top part of the label, it says Lazarus. And then below that is the name of the album and the track listings. And then in the smaller print, you see the copyright information. I suppose you want to know what the album's called and what the track list is and all
Yes,
that stuff.
please.
Yes,
Yes.
please.
The album is called Moon Over Paradise. The track list is Waking the Echoes, Black River Silver Light, The Jealous Mirror, Candle Point Calling, Iterate, Blue Midnight, Warden's Lament, and Moon Over Paradise.
Oh my god, awesome.
The copyright on the label is 1995.
1995? Oh,
Yes,
that is
this record hasn't been made yet.
probably
Like,
hasn't
like I
even
mean, like
thought
from
of yet.
our time.
Holy shit. Rosie is like very interested in this, but also like snaps her attention to that fucking report card. I just want to like, since Clara maybe is hustling and bustling, I want to snap that and just take a look.
Which are you grabbing?
The report card.
Oh, yeah. So Claire's already given you permission to look at everything and do what you want with it, so you guys don't have
Yeah.
to be secretive about it.
No, I just don't want to act like we're that interested. We are.
As you're all standing around literally gawking at everything on this.
What? Wow.
Okay. Give me a moment as I'm jumping from sheet to sheet.
While Jake takes a moment jumping from sheet to sheet, check us out on teespring.com. At teespring.com, we got all kinds of great new t-shirts like the one Tamiko is wearing and so many more. You get them on t-shirts, tank tops, hoodies. We got ones for your fantasy games, one for this game, and all kinds of other great stuff. You can get on stickers, mugs, and all kinds of things. Teespring.com. Just click the link in the description for this video.
Looking at the sorry, Rosie, you're the one that grabbed the report
Yes.
card, correct?
Yes.
So yeah, taking a look at the report card, it looks to be a report card from the first marking period that you completed or nearly completed in the first iteration of, or what would actually be the second iteration for you, but the first iteration of Paradise Academy before it reset. because you recognize the schedule. There's a little bit of overlap, particularly in I believe it was American literature, but I'm not 100% positive. And you recognize the name at the top of the page, Jimmy Bretsky.
Ooh. And Rosie's like flabbergasted, and because she's been getting tutoring for Jimmy in that worst fucking subject, and he always seemed like he knew more than that, and so she's a little betrayed. But as she's looking at this, she's like, guys. And then she just kind of like shows him, and then like has her thumb.
Who do you show?
Like, I would show probably Laz first, since Laz is also looking at this weird timey-wimey.
Laz, as Rosie shows you this report card, you see that the name at the top of the report card is Claire Spicer.
Like, I really thought Jimmy was like good at history. This grade is awful.
No, that's not Jimmy's. It says Claire right there.
It's
And
Jimmy.
Rosie looks again.
It's Jimmy.
No, it. Wait a minute. Coop, and Rosie would like look down at Coop, and she probably like holds it to him a little too close to his face at first, and then like because she's excited, and
Let
she
me guess.
looks.
Coop takes a look, and it's Nathan Floyd's.
No,
Okay.
it's
No.
it's your neighbor, Vanessa Dubois.
Oh.
Whose report card is this?
Oh, Vanessa's. She used to babysit me. Yeah, that tracks.
Jess, and like Rosie shows it to her. What does that say?
What does Jess see?
It says
Who is
Jessica.
Jess?
It says Jessica Ann Smith.
Are these marks that Jessica remembers getting?
Oh no, you
Or
weren't.
is
You
it
weren't
not
there.
happened?
Oh.
That bitch. At least I should have gotten at least a B in journalism, not a C.
So this one says your name.
Yeah.
And I look again, and it still says Jimmy, and it's like mine doesn't say my name, Oak. And she calls Billy over to do the same checks.
Oh,
What does
if you
Billy
look
say?
at it, it's Gertie the Gadget Gizmondi's report card.
What?
Still with bad grades?
And
Sus.
Billy, when you look at it, it is Victoria Van Houten's report card.
Okay, what is the connection here? What is this pattern? Like,
Is
okay.
no, there is no way that she would have bad grades.
She could pay for good grades.
Yeah.
Clara kind of just, you hear her making that sort of clucking sound with her with her mouth. I don't know how so just, that sort of
Clucking with her
that
face hole.
sort
Yeah,
of
go ahead.
I don't know how to
Ma'am,
do it. Tisk tisk tisk. It's how it's always written out. But as she does that, and she goes, "You all have an imagination just like Amelia."
Ma'am, can I ask you something? How is it that you came by a lot of these things in your shop? Because I'll be honest.
He like looks at some of the pieces.
Are they a little weird for you too?
I don't understand any of it. Amelia was carrying on over that blank piece of paper like it was some of the most beautiful artwork
Blank
she'd ever
piece of
seen
paper.
and wanted to share it with us, so that's why I kept it.
To her,
Ma'am.
it's a blank piece of paper, huh?
Could we pay you? Could we pay you? And could we have this, please? I think it's very important to our explorations of this island, and it would. I mean, it's just a blank piece of paper after all.
I told you I only give Amelia a couple bits here and there for these trinkets she finds just to give her a little bit of money to spend on the island. We don't have any children of our own, and so Amelia's kind of like a granddaughter, and so we dote on her when we can. She's otherwise always cooped up in that lighthouse with her father, so
Oh God.
take it.
Okay, so could we have this or
Yeah.
buy this from you for a couple of bits?
Well, I've seen what you have is more than a couple of bits. Again, just take it.
Okay. And Rosie like sticks it in her backpack too. Okay. Well, and I look around, I look at the others, and I say, "So, how do you want to spend the day, gang?"
Sounds like we're
We
going to
should,
the
like-
lighthouse to talk to this Amelia.
We should go to the lighthouse when it's in the daytime. When there's lots of daytime, preferably.
Yeah.
Which it's pretty much mid-morning for you. It's like 9 in the morning right now, I think. And it is a
Okay.
sunny day, blue sky.
Okay. Okay. So I think let's get our clothes first. Ma'am and so I think Rosie had picked out her own clothes and just that's what's in this pile that's sitting on the counter. Do you have a place like where we could change?
I mean, you could use the back stock room here. And she kind of goes over to a corner and opens up a door where, there's some additional stock that's back there. Carrie asked a question and apparently lost her ability to hear us. So, while she's getting that straightened out.
I'm back.
Okay.
Sorry. What'd you say?
She opens up the supply room door and says, "You can go in here. Girls first."
Sick. Thanks. Rosie grabs her pile and just bump it up. Side note, Rosie's wearing like exactly this. It's perfect.
So for the next few minutes, she kind of makes it so that or rather allows you in, girls first, to go in and get changed, and then once the girls are out, the boys can go in and get changed, and we'll sort of classic wipe to you're all in your new digs, and you've got your backpacks and whatnot, and as part of your new clothes, you have they're all used, but you have sturdy boots as well.
Nice.
And you are so outfitted and can head out into the logging camp and go where you want and do what you want.
Okay. Well, there's still enough daylight left. Do we want to go straight to the lighthouse or what?
What else do we want to look at?
I mean, I don't have anything else, I guess.
I mean, outside of waiting for those maps, we really don't have much to do. So
Clara?
it might be.
Where would we find Amelia?
The lighthouse.
Like,
Probably
she lives there, works there.
With her dad.
She said that she spends most of the time there with her dad.
Oops, sorry, that's my bad. I missed all of that because I was
Alright.
typing out a
Oh, you were doing
complete
notes.
summary of this show so far.
Lives there with her dad, and so yeah, I said, well, I guess we should probably head that way. Which way is the lighthouse? And because Rosie's like triumphantly walking out the
So-
door and then turns around and is like, wait.
I'm going to say this again because I'm not positive that I've said it clearly, because more than one of you have asked this question. The island is small, and when you are in the daylight, you can see the lighthouse from the center of camp. It is. You are like a half mile at most from
Okay.
where the docks are, and the lighthouse is on the southern tip of Crescent Bay, as it was told to you. This, from what you can gather, the entirety of this island is roughly the size of Paradise. So we're talking like a little over 3.5 miles north to south, and probably about 2.5 miles east to west. And the lighthouse, by design, is something that's meant to be seen from a distance. And you're slightly up. There's a slight incline on the way down to.
Yeah. Okay.
And because in the center of this camp, there's that sort of small sawmill, and then there's this railhead where all of these different rail cars are loaded up, and then a sort of miniature locomotive drives them down to the bridge or to the dock. It's a straight shot down to the docks alongside this little railway. So I realize I worded that like you guys aren't listening, but I didn't mean it that way. I meant it like I don't think I clarified that enough.
What I was confused about, and I maybe was just picturing this differently than you, was how wooded is the area around us? Because if there's big trees around us, we might have trouble seeing something like that, even if it was close.
No, by their very nature as loggers, the first place they cleared was the camp. Gotcha. The entire camp is laid out sort of like a picture. In essence, kind of picture a western town that's a little bit open with this logging operation sort of front and center, and then you've got, instead of having like in Valentine and Red Dead Redemption where you have a main thoroughfare, picture something a little bit wider, maybe more open, like
Strawberry. Oh, sorry.
Not even Strawberry. I would say go further west to the plague town, Amarillo, I think it is, or Armadillo.
Armadillo.
That's a little more open. So open western town with a centralized logging operation. It's more west and north is where all of the majority of the trees are. There's a little bit to the south where you guys appeared and the loggers found you.
Amazing. Perfect.
Yeah.
Gang. Lighthouse it is. Let's go find that weird little kid.
Yeah, so as you head out into the camp proper, you are you're seeing the operation. While you were in the store, the logging operation is spinning up into full production. You hear men and women shouting at one another as they're offering directions or saying, bring it over here, more, a little more. You see a crane that is being operated, a steam-powered crane that has these huge metal grippers and is picking up massive logs and loading them onto these flatbed cars. And as this one car is being loaded up, you hear the slow chug of a steam locomotive that's pushing an empty flatbed up. And you see down at the docks now, there is a steamship where another crane is loading cut lumber onto the steamship to use for fuel as they continue moving along on their shipping pathways. In the distance to the north, you can hear the staccato rhythm of axes, and then you hear a distant timber and hear the cracking, and you feel the thud of a tree hitting the ground. You can hear that vroom, 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 elsewhere of a giant two-person saw being moved back and forth. You hear the sounds of the sawmill spinning up.
Does it smell like sawdust everywhere in this town?
Oh, absolutely. It's that strong. You're getting a mix of pine, birch, and the very aromatic cedar, which seems to be abundant on this island. You can see that some of the logs, they look to be separated. Probably most of the like pine and lower grade and rough cut logs seem to be loaded up in one area, cut smaller to be loaded into boilers for fuel. A lot of the lumber or logs for the cedar are more clean cut, stacked aside, presumably waiting to be shipped off elsewhere to use in building operations. You see from within the wood lines, you can see horse-drawn wagons that are teams of horses are bringing in huge loads of logs from further into the island. And then you do notice that there is one larger wagon that's being drawn by a team of 2 oxen, and you see from where you're at as one of the horse-drawn wagons, the driver of it is just animatedly talking to the person sitting in the seat next to him, and you can see from across the camp that this wagon is about to collide with the one driven by the oxen, and you hear a shout, and then the 2 wagons sort of bump against one another, and you see as the one pulled by the oxen, some of the stakes on the side break loose, and you hear that heavy as about a half a dozen massive logs tumble off the wagon. The wagon tips up. You can see the oxen starting to get a little rambunctious and out of control, and you see from behind a slightly obstructed view where you couldn't see them before, you see a woman who looks to be about maybe 5'2", swimming in overalls that are obviously too big for her, and she steps up onto the dashboard of the oxen cart, runs across it, and you just see her leap in the air, throwing a fist at the driver of the horse wagon. As she just connects with him, he goes tumbling off. His buddy he was talking to just starts laughing, and she turns to him and says, "You're just as responsible," and jumps down and just starts cussing this guy out about not paying attention. And from behind you, as you all are watching the operation around the camp, you just hear Clara go, "Well, that'd be Mouse for you."
Yes,
Mouse
dude.
O'Connor.
Fuck yes.
And that's where we're going to go ahead and take a break.
Mighty Mouse. That's,
Mighty Mouse.
that's awesome.
You
That
have
was
come to
awesome.
save the day.
All right.
Dude, I love the vibes are immaculate. Let's go.
All right. So with that, we are going to, first off, I want to say thank you to friend of the channel, Tildaloo, for raiding in with her audience of 15. And if there's any raiders hanging around, welcome. And I hope you enjoy, and everybody else that's watching with us. Stick around. We're going to be back in about 10 minutes with more Paradise, Michigan Genesis. See you on the other side. And we're back. As the group of you 6 children and teenagers, teens and preteens, now looking somewhat like you belong on the island, you shuffle along the loose stone alongside the rail bed of these side-by-side rails that lead down to and from the docks from the lumberyard. You can see the Candle Point Lighthouse poking its head up above the sparse trees at the southern tip of the cove. And as you get most of the way down towards where the in this portion anyway, it's a very rocky beach. that the dock is just sort of built out across and extends about 150 feet out into the water to allow these steamships and barges to pull up alongside. You see a sandy path that cuts off to the right and heads in the direction of the Candle Point Lighthouse proper. You walk across the sand, going up and down a few small dunes and tall dune sands, dune grass growing on either side of the pathway. As you head there, you finally come across this small dune that leads down just a little bit, and you can see it standing there on a sandy patch of ground, the Candle Point Lighthouse stretching up into the sky. What you notice about this, and is so peculiar, is this lighthouse doesn't just resemble, it looks exactly like the Candle Point Lighthouse that you know from Paradise. Even with the stone step platform in front of the door and its green door with a brass handle. You can see standing about 50 feet or so on the opposite side of the lighthouse, at the very point of this small section of land, you can see the back of a girl who looks to be around some of your ages. Probably she's somewhere between 15 and 17 years old. From what you can tell, she's got long, bright red hair. She wears a longish dress, some kind of dark leggings underneath. The dress is sort of blowing in the wind, and she's wearing a heavy knitted sweater over that against the wind, with her hands in the pockets, and she just seems to be standing there, her hair blowing with the wind as she looks out across the water, possibly looking at the docks where the ship's being loaded, but she almost seems to be staring out across the waters towards where you can, it's clear enough today that you can clearly see the sort of dark shadow about 15 miles to the east of Michigan's Leelanau Peninsula. What would you like to do?
I would lean to the gang and I'd be like, do you think that's her?
I would guess.
Oh.
Start walking over towards her.
I follow Billy.
Just balancing the domain pops up. Please don't make that sound at the new girl you just met.
Hey baby.
I don't care if it's 18, whatever. That's still highly inappropriate.
Inappropriate. Unacceptable.
So you're walking towards the lighthouse, or are you walking towards
the redhead?
The redhead. Okay. Are all of you heading towards the girl?
Yeah, I'm following Billy.
I think that Oak is too distracted with like his own agenda that like he's not he's probably getting out things like he's gonna like find a little tucked in space near the lighthouse where he's gonna like get out his camcorder. He's gonna get out like certain things from his backpack, because to him this is all record, validate, verify, have everything on as much as he can, because he doesn't know how long they have in this space.
Can I stop him from doing that?
Sure,
Just
if you want.
curious.
Yeah.
All right. So Coop's gonna see you split off and just kind of like watch you go, and he's gonna watch you sit somewhere and pull out your camcorder, and then Coop's gonna run only as fast as a little fat boy can. And he's going to plant himself so that he's between the eye line of you and wherever this redheaded girl is.
Sure.
And he's gonna go, "What are you
doing?
Just, preparing. I'm just getting things prepared. Just, what are you talking about?
Do you want us to get killed?
They don't. Poop. They're not
What do
going
you
to know
think-
what this is.
What do you think they're gonna think when they see that?
Probably that I'm a witch. I mean, honestly, that's probably what they're going to think. Or that I'm some sort of magician and
You
it's
know
a
that
magic
witches are
box.
bad here, right? Like, witches and magic are bad here.
What are they going to do? Throw me in the water and see if I float? No, I don't
Maybe.
think that that's going to happen.
Maybe. I don't like they did you not see? Josie was ready to shoot us practically last night.
Okay, I mean, look, I'm excited. And I think it's smart for us to at least record something.
I need you
Keep
to
record
record
of it.
everything, Oak, with your mind.
Yes.
Use these two
Awesome,
cameras.
dude.
With my mind palace. Okay, sure. I'll
With your mind and your notebook.
okay.
Not the notebook
okay.
with not the notebook with the Transformers on it though, because that would be weird. Like the plain one.
Cool one though. That's the one I do all my drawings in. Fine, I'll have the he puts
I
the
just
he
don't
puts
want
the
you
one
to end up in a situation where you have to explain where cartoon robots are.
he puts the one with Optimus on the front cover back in, pulls out just this little green and gold trim, like the green and brass trimmed like regular steno pad, like as if he's been dejected to the second hand. Fine, I'll do that. And
I mean, remember, a lot of people have seen it already. Well, if they were paying that much attention, but that's why I got this. And Coop holds up his hand and shows that he's now has a work glove over his power glove.
Like a single cattleman's glove. Like
that's
Easier
so
to-
smart, man.
It's easier to just try to blend in than to try to explain.
Okay. You're right. I'm dumb. You're right. I'm getting over excited about stuff. And you see that he tucks everything back into his messenger bag, and then just keeps the little notepad now out. And I think he would tuck the pencil behind his ear, like a little newsie.
Now I
Like
just
his
have to
nickname
catch my
is
breath
Scoop.
for a second because that was a lot.
Yeah.
Jessica,
I ran all the way over.
Look, we could just wait here for the bigs.
Jessica,
We could just wait here for the bigs.
I need you to make me a grit check. Coop, I need you to make me a let's call it a grit check too. Did the rest of you stop while these two start arguing, or did you keep walking?
I'm sure
Keep
not.
walking.
Yeah. These guys are always up to some fucking malarkey. I think we're just like, okay, whatever. They'll
That's
figure it out.
7.
7.
5.
Okay. Jessica, as you pass by the lighthouse, you feel uneasy. You just feel an uneasiness. There's something that just kind of knocks your gut a little bit and makes the hairs on the back of your neck stand on end. Coop, as you and Oak sort of get things settled, you turn and your foot kicks something. A rock.
A cool one.
I love rocks. Tell me about the rock, Jake.
I shouldn't have to tell you anything about this rock because it looks very familiar to you. You remember finding a rock the first time you went to the Candle Point Lighthouse in Paradise, Michigan in 1980 something. You
Is it a
discovered a
meteor?
small piece of meteor, and it looked exactly like this rock.
Whoa! And Coop picks it up.
Do you still have the rock you found?
I don't. I can tell you who does have it in a second. I think it's Laz. Hold on.
Didn't it give him powers or something? It made him strong.
Laz
something
currently has the meteorite.
And what does the meteorite do?
It is a +2 to brawn checks.
Yes. Damn. So
When you
strong,
pick this rock
yeah.
up, you feel stronger.
Oh man.
No.
But Coop, you love rocks. You have entire books on rocks. You have shelves full of rocks back home.
Rocks are kind of my thing.
And when you found this meteorite, you studied it. You spent time turning it over and looking at it. This looks exactly like the rock you found before.
So it's twinning exactly the other meteorite.
It is.
Mm-hmm.
Oh.
Wow.
Oak, I'm gonna blow your mind. Do you see this?
Whoa. Is that?
It's
No.
It's exactly like the one I found before. And it's
That-
not mine.
Okay, well, do you still feel the same way? Like when you hold it?
Yeah.
Whoa. Okay, so
There's 2 lighthouses. There are 2 meteorites. If you come out of that lighthouse, I might actually shit myself.
well,
You see that him like he starts to think about it, and then he can't help but like be caught off guard by that response, and then just immediately bursts out laughing because as a kid that would be the response to that.
I think that's where we're going to transition to. As Coop says that, and you start laughing, we're going to transition to the other 4. As you're approaching the girl, are you going to just walk up on her, tap her on the shoulder? Are you going to call out to her?
I'm gonna come to like, what would be like standard speaking distance, maybe 10 feet away. Excuse me.
Before Billy does that, can Jessica she gets this uneasy feeling from the lighthouse. Can she look at it? Does she see any movement?
Like, where are you looking?
Like, she'll look at like the base, and then she'll look up at like the little windowy thing where the light is.
And roll me a D100.
Okay. 19.
All right, we're looking for within 12 on either side. So that is very far away from 19. So as you look up there, you see the sort of the railing around it, and you see the the glass top part of the lighthouse. You can kind of see light shining through, but you don't see any other kind of movement or anything up there.
Okay. All right. So yeah. Then the thing with Billy.
So I call out, excuse me. Does she turn around?
She starts. Like, was not expecting to hear a voice. You see her and she kind of hesitantly turns around.
I'm sorry, I didn't mean to startle you. Are you, by any chance, Amelia?
She looks at you, and then she looks around at everybody, and then she goes, Billy Stapler?
Yes. How do you know my name?
And you're Rosie.
Yeah.
And Laz?
Yeah.
And then she looks at Jessica and she goes,
which one are you?
I was just about to say those exact words. She goes, and she kind of does the side-eye thing. She goes, which one are you?
Jessica, she says, at like before she even finishes.
And she looks past you. Is that Coop and Oak? How is it that you all are here?
He's Coop, he's Oak.
10 points if you can tell us which is which.
Nice. She seems very excited as she kind of takes a step forward and then she goes, how is it that you all are here?
How is it that you know who we are?
Under normal circumstances, I would be hard pressed, I guess, to explain this to people. But if you've been through even half of what I've read about, you won't find this weird at all.
Wait a minute.
Half of what you...
What do you mean you've read about?
I think it's best if I show you.
Please.
I'm Amelia Gray.
Amelia Gray.
And you can see she's 16 years old. And she says, "Whoop. We'll have to go into the lighthouse to talk, if that's okay."
That's fine with me. I look to the rest of them.
I nod and look around as well.
Yeah.
Jessica nods, but she looks uneasy.
I mean, we were talking about heading here anyway, so might as well check it out while we're here.
And let's go inside. And she kind of approaches and again stops and she goes, I've only ever seen photographs of all of you.
How have you seen photographs of us? Like, is it like a book or something? Like what? Or
It'll make sense when we get inside. And she kind of walks around you and starts heading towards where now Coop and Oak, you see this girl leading the others. And as she approaches the two of you, she goes, "Hi, I'm Amelia. You're Coop and you're Oak. I need to get to the door." She does correctly identify
absolutely.
you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Absolutely. After you.
They must have told her who we are.
She steps up.
I look at Coop and Oak and I'm like,
She steps up onto the stone cement platform. She turns the brass knob of the door. She opens it up, but she doesn't step in. She opens it up, and you can see as soon as she opens it, you see the spiral staircase that leads up and around, and you see that stack with the crates and the rope and the lantern and all of that. And she looks in and she turns and she listens. Okay. My father's upstairs in the lighthouse. I blanked on what the room is called, but the spinny light
the
room.
nest.
Who's your father? What's his name?
And she says,
Who is your daddy and what does he do?
He won't come down for hours. Hold on. And she closes the door. And she looks towards the direction you came from. This door is oriented at about a 3/4 away, so it's not facing towards the logging camp. And you can see that there's one of the logging trains is pulling another empty thing up. She waits until it gets closer to the camp, and then all of a sudden she takes the doorknob and slides it to the other side of the door. Turns it and opens the door in that direction and says, "Quick, come on inside." And she heads in and holds the door open for you. Looking in, as your eyes adjust, you can see what looks like a small, single-room, lakeside cabin, basically.
Like what the
Cool.
sisters did.
Yeah.
Come on inside.
And Rosie Rosie shrugs and then hurries through the door.
Does everybody
Who
go
follows
inside?
Rosie? Because that's what he do.
Yeah, he goes inside, and Laz will ask her, so do you have like powers also, or?
How did you do that with the door?
It's
That's what I was gonna say.
It's always been that way. It's just how the door works. It's how the lighthouse works.
How the door work? No. Because that's not how doors work. You can't just.
Well, that's how it works
Oh,
here.
come on.
Dad and I keep it separate. We don't
I just.
tell anybody at
I'm
the
sorry,
camp about this.
We've dealt with these doors before. I've never seen that happen. You've never seen that happen, Billy.
Yeah, but of all the things, this is surprising. Come on.
One of
This isn't even-
one of many. Okay, one of many.
This isn't even weirdest thing we've seen today, dude.
Truth.
Guys, you're saying a lot of stuff in front of her.
She knows all of our names.
He brought the other weird shit to Henry and Clara.
She knows exactly who we are.
Well, hell's bells then. Oh, go ahead and record.
She goes, "You met the Briggs."
Yeah. We
Very
got this
nice.
from them, and Rosie takes out the blank piece of paper and like shows her. Be like, they told us we could take this and look at it. We see stuff on it.
She looks at it, and then she doesn't take it out of your hand, but she very surprisingly grabs hold of the edge of it.
Rosie
And
is like pinching it hard. She's not.
She says she's not
scared
trying to
bag.
take it from you, but she goes,
Okay.
"That's
just making
very
sure.
strange. Whenever I've looked at this, I've seen incredible paintings. Beautiful, gorgeous landscapes, always different, depending on the time of day. But now, this is from that school you went to, and it has your name on it, Rosie. If this," she turns
What kind
to
of grade
Oak.
did I get in history? I need to know.
I don't understand what grade is. That what these letters are?
Yes. What letter?
Is a D bad?
Shit.
And she lets it go, and she kind of shrugs, and she turns to Oak, and she goes, "If you're that excited by the door, this next piece is going to be maybe too much for you. You might want to sit down."
He's already scrambling for his camera at this point and being like, nope, we're gonna if you don't mind, can I record this for posterity or whatever, please?
She walks over to the corner of the room, and you can see that there are, in each of the far corners of the room, there's a table in the middle, and there's sort of a kitchen space with a basin, and there's like a food prep area, and then each of those corners there's a bed that's closest to the windows with the view of the lake, that seems to be where her father sleeps, and then there's what is her bed, and it looks to have like it's probably perfectly fine for this time, but to your eyes looks to be a very thin mattress and blanket. But she reaches to, like, she's gonna pull aside the mattress, and then she pushes it up, and the entire mattress lifts up, and she pushes it up against the wall and reaches over and attaches a latch and steps back. If you thought in the attic room of his grandparents' house that Oak had a significant conspiracy board.
Oh,
This makes that look like a child's drawing.
dude.
You see
Yes.
pictures and diagrams. You see maps that you've seen of Paradise. You see maps of the ley lines. You see that there is highlighted. There's Candle Point Lighthouse is highlighted in red. But again, over on what would be South Manitou Island, and you see a map of the island. It's Candle Point Lighthouse is also highlighted. And then there's another image of the lighthouse at the very top of the board. It just seems to be floating there. It's not attached to anything. And it has a question mark next to it. But there's red lines drawing these lighthouses, connecting them. The photographs, actual black and white photographs that you see, are of each of you that seem to have been taken candidly. We, the audience, will recognize these as way back when you all first ended up in Paradise, and we got our first look at Ashley Raven and the Nexus Project. They had dossiers on all of you.
Oh, those are the same.
These are the
pictures.
same photographs and some of the same information. You see the Nexus Project logo. You see a picture of a white rat, and it has Templeton ? Algernon ? You see the name Persephone. There's just literally, look at our last 2 seasons, and there's a whole segment on Paradise Academy. There's class schedules. There's several of your classmates' names. There's the big dance incident. You see
There's little relationship strings.
You see information.
It's
you
a
see
massive web.
information about the Edmund Fitzgerald. You even see next to somewhere in the vicinity of the lighthouses, you see attached to this board is a pack of Juicy Fruit gum,
Oh, yeah.
a pack of Big Red gum, and a pack of Double Mint gum.
What? It's like the Three Sisters.
This
the
is
witches
basically
incarnate.
this whole scene, as you all see this, is it just kind of goes focusing in on all this different stuff, and your guys' reactions as you're looking around and taking this all in. And Amelia turns to you and she says, "Your stories have been washing up on shore for the last 4 years."
40 or 4?
4. The last 4 years.
So, how exactly are they washing up? Like, are they books or are they like pages?
They come in all manner of ways, and if it's something that I can't directly correlate with all of this stuff, I bring it to Clara and Henry, and they give me a couple bits for it, but I keep all of this other stuff. Some of it washes up on the shoreline, down on the rocks below. Some of it shows up on the doorstep of the lighthouse.
So,
And
I
sometimes I wake up in the middle of the night, standing out there at the point where you found me, and I'm holding whatever it is. But when I started to see things that looked the same, pictures of all of you, and then started to see names and things that started to look like they belonged together. But what's really confusing is so many of these things, they come from Well, most of you, everything to do with your school, and when you were in this place called Paradise, every paper I've seen, everything says that it's 1985. Is it
That's
true
about right.
that you're more than 100 years in the future?
That's where we're from, yeah.
She walks over away from this stuff, looks out the window, turns back to you and says, I don't know why it is that you all have suddenly washed up on our shore. But you're a long way from where you belong.
We're also long when.
It's 1855.
55? 1855? Ugh.
There's a lot of really strange stuff happen here, or near here.
Some oddities happen on the island. There's some of the loggers are superstitious. I let them tell their tales of strange dogmen and mysterious women that appear in the rain. I let them talk about these oddities and cross themselves and throw salt over their shoulders. But and she looks at you, Billy. I don't know if it's you or somebody related to you, but when I saw that something that looks like what the loggers described as a dogman was another kid like me, for some reason I wasn't frightened anymore. Is it true? Do
I transform?
Do you turn into a creature?
I do. I can. I have.
And you see her kind of go, that's really neat.
God, this is adorable. That's cool.
But
well, if you ever want
there's but you asked about strange
falls over.
You asked about strange things happening besides that. My father will never let me go far from the lighthouse. He's just too overprotective. But I'm convinced there's something happening in the Valley of the Giants. Every time what the loggers call the Wetsika appears during a storm, the storm originates on that southwestern point of the island. It always starts with thunder and lightning in the Valley of the Giants. And sometimes when I'm in the tower of the lighthouse, I can see most of the shoreline of the island. I've seen on that same side of the island on the southwest a strange vessel. It's not powered by steam like these, and she points out to the steamship that's taking on the last load of wood, and you can see already that they're beginning to untie the lines, and you see from the smokestacks you can see the steam rising up as this begins to get underway. And I've seen it at night, and it has lights that are steady, not like lantern lights. Something is going on that side of the island. And then her eyes light up as she looks at all of you. Maybe that's why you're here.
It's as good a guess as any, I guess.
We're here to find something or stop something from happening. That's all we know.
Coop's eyes keep getting drawn back to the board, and I absolutely don't want you to get into this now, but food for thought for later, Jacob. While all of that conversation, the bulk of it was happening, Coop found his picture and is looking at what she has connected to it to see if anything's blatantly wrong or something that he's unaware of.
I will say, Coop, one thing that stands out to you is every one of you has a handful of things scribbled, things that have been crossed out. Next to you, Coop, there's a line that's drawn over to a list, and the list says Jake, and then next to it says Jake the blacksmith and Jake the gravedigger ?
Ooh.
Oh shit. Okay.
Billy, you were starting to say something?
Yeah, so Billy's going to ask her, like, so you read everything that's come ashore about us?
She points to where, when she lifted this board up, the underside of her mattress, essentially, where all of this stuff is pinned up on the board, and you see in the frame of the bed underneath it are what look like probably like milk crates, wooden milk crates, and fruit boxes and things that she probably got from the mercantile shop that are filled with things that have Paradise Academy logos on it, that have there's a bunch of photographs. You actually see that there are audio cassettes and video cassettes that are just all sort of stacked in a box. There's a couple floppy disks that they're dusty. She doesn't seem to even know what to do with these things.
Is there at least one baseball?
I don't believe there is, actually.
You actually have a list of shit that's under there. Wow.
I have a list of all of Amelia's trinkets. In fact, since you asked, Carrie, roll me a D100 and we'll see what oddity you spot in there. But something else that you see in there are more than one. You see 3 boxes that look very much out of place, that are these boxes are they're little, like water warped, but they are file storage boxes you would expect to see in a filing room in the 1980s, but they have the Paradise Orchards logos on them.
Oh shit.
Rosie, you see a you see, just kind of sitting off to one side, it's actually in a glass mason jar. There's a couple of things like you actually see what you identify as a set of car keys, some military dog tags, and a guitar pick, and you can see the Lazarus logo etched into it.
Oh my god.
Wow. So I have 2 questions, if you don't mind my asking. First, in anything that you read, has anything been contradictory to something else you've read?
It took me a long time to and several readings, and she points at the boxes to understand what even was meant by iterations. And it's when I started to find all of the stuff that had to do with this, something called the Nexus Project, whatever that means, that they were documenting things that seemed to happen to all of you at different times. There's a whole section of things that had to do with your summer vacation.
Yeah.
There was all of these things that are about your time in school. And it seems like you never, in all the time you were at that school, you never made it more than 3 months and things would start over. But you spent, from what I found, you spent close to 2 years at that school. And then this box was very confusing to me. And large sections of the papers that I found have some kind of black marks through them, like somebody somehow made it impossible to read what was written. And she opens up the box, and the topmost paper, you can see her handwriting based on what you see on the board, as she says, I started to try to make this make sense, and nothing I did could make it make sense. She hands you the piece of paper, and it's a photograph of another image of the Candle Point Lighthouse with a big question mark next to it. But that picture of the lighthouse is superimposed over a photograph of the moon.
Oh.
And that actually seems like a really good place to end.
Oh my god,
Oh, wow.
what? That's where that fucker went in his rocket up to the other Candle Point Lighthouse on the moon.
The moon.
The moon.
So you said that you got photographs here.
Yeah, there's tons of there's photographs of all of you.
Okay. Well, there's a specific thing that I'll ask about next week.
So here's what I'm going to do. I am going to ask all of you, once again, even though we're no longer in Paradise Academy, I'm going to give you homework.
I love homework. Let's go.
The homework is, as much as possible, and Tomiko already sort of did it, if there are things that you think might be on the board that you want to ask questions about, send those to me, either in our regular chat or privately, so that I can have a little bit of preparation for what you guys might be interested in for our next session, which I'm already, I think, is going to be called, thanks to Jeremy, I think the next session is just going to be called Redacted.
Redacted. It has to be.
Yeah, I think session 4 is going to be called, in brackets, just like that, all caps, Redacted.
That's great.
I wish I could get away with doing this and it would make sense, but I feel like it would make more sense if it was just a black magic marker line across, but
right.
You can't really do that for YouTube. Now, as an aside, I told a couple people this, but as many of you know, in the chat, Doghammer13 is my friend Craig, who I went to high school with. He and I often get together for coffee or go on walks together, and Craig guested for an arc in season 2. Craig and I recently got together for an hour for coffee, and we I would say you would describe us as conspirators. So there are some things that will be happening this season that you can blame or credit Craig as much as me. We were like Lazarus in a jam session, just riffing off of one another, and we left that coffee meeting with big smiles. So I'm very much looking forward to you all learning stuff. Amelia's probably not the only interesting person you'll encounter on this island, but one heck of an NPC to find.
That's awesome.
So,
I'm so excited.
yeah, I want to say a huge thank you again to Tilda Lou for the raid and bringing her audience in. Thank you to the new followers and those that supported the channel with bits and subs. We had a couple gift subs out there and resubs. So we appreciate that. Let's see if I can catch this. Go. Before it does anything. Oh. All right. Okay. We're gonna do here in a moment. We're gonna do a raid to. I don't know if they're still streaming. I think they are. Can't quite see what they're playing. Looks like they're playing a game. Luma Island. Looks like. So we're gonna send a stream over to a friend formerly known as Emily. Yeah, thank you to everybody who was hanging out, watching, supporting. Thank you to everybody hanging out in the chat. New followers that are here for the first time. Hope you enjoyed the show. You can catch up on the VODs on youtube.com/mini-terrain domain. Check out the rest of the games that we have going. Of course, I want to say just a huge thank you, as always, to...
Jake, real quick, one of your guys that you're about to thank has a quick announcement to make. Jeremy.
Oh, Jeremy, what do you got?
Yeah, I was gonna plug. I have a trilogy that it launches this Sunday afternoon. If you're around here in the States, 1 p.m. Central. It is Legend of the One Ring. It is mashing up Lord of the Rings with Legend of the Five Rings. It is going to be like I said, a trilogy where none of the player characters are going to survive. So I'm really excited to kick that off. So yeah, stop by if that sounds interesting to you.
That's awesome.
All right. Thank you to Miko for popping that in the chat. Yeah, check that out for sure. So as we head out and prepare to raid, formerly known as Emily, thank you to my amazing friends and players as we embark upon our third season. Thank you so much, Chad, Tamiko, Carrie, Ted, Jeremy, and Em. Without whom, this would be me talking to myself for a couple hours. With that, we are going to end this stream the same way we end every stream. You could say it with me if you want.
Littering and littering.